What about people into bondage? I want to see them represented in this film. I want them to have one of them balls in their mouth, and they just like in the background running out of a room. Well, come on, man. If you're going to represent everybody, represent everybody. Just don't pick certain people, because that's discrimination. What up, YouTube? Welcome to Idiot's Corner. I'm Jason, and I'll be taking you into the mind of an idiot. Got sad news for the Star Wars fans today. I don't know if anybody's seen these articles that have been popping up. I guess J.J. Abrams did an interview, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Finn and Poe aren't boyfriends, but J.J. Abrams hints at LGBTQ representation. Man, that is... I don't know how this is going to keep me out of the movie. Striking a lightsaber into the hearts of Star Wars fans, it appears that a romance between Poe, whatever his last name is, and Finn will not materialize in Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. The only people that have a lightsaber in the heart are not Star Wars fans. If that's what you were going to the Star Wars movie to see, a romantic relationship between Finn and Poe, then you're probably not a Star Wars fan. As a matter of fact, I think the people that actually want that really don't care about Star Wars. They don't care about anything. If you want to go see that, there are plenty of gay movies to go see. This is not the type of movie you go to see if that's what you're looking for. Let's continue on. But that does not necessarily mean there won't be any LGBTQ representation in the final film, the Skywalker saga, either. So, when you say, why does there have to be representation? Why is all this talk about representation? Explain it to me. I wish somebody would. Please, someone explain this to me. How could you have, you know how many people groups there are in different categories you could put people into? How could you have every category represented in a movie? Who gets to decide what people are represented in that movie? What people groups are important enough to make the cut, and which people groups aren't. So in a movie like Skywalker, how many different representations should there be in the movie? Let's take sexual preferences as a representation. Where are all the foot fetish people? Why can't Poe have a foot fetish? I would love to see a scene where Poe's just sniffing socks or a boot or something like that. Why can't that be in the movie? Why is that not represented? What about necrophiliacs? How come they're not represented in the movie? Wouldn't that be a cool scene? Like Finn just takes out a stormtrooper and then you look back and in the background he's humping on it or something. That would be awesome to me. They deserve representation in the film just as much as everybody else. What about polygamy? Where are the polygamists in the film? We need more polygamous representation. Do you see how stupid this sounds? How many different sexual preferences can you represent in this movie? Why is it even part of the movie? It has nothing to do with the plot line. Why does it matter what sexual preferences are represented in this movie? That everybody gets represented in here. And then you go by nationality. I got a list of people right here. I looked it up. List of people nationality. This is how many there are. There's Estonians. How many Estonians are in this movie? Where's their representation? What about Catalans? Are they represented in the film? Now, if you have a Chinese person, does that cover Japanese people too? Or is that racist to even suggest that? Where does it end? Where does this inclusion of every category of people end? And who gets to decide which categories are included and which aren't? Because why are only certain groups wanting representation? You could probably put people into millions of category groups. Like, what about Chinese gays? Do they have to be represented in the movie? Is just a gay person enough, or do they have to be Chinese? If you need to identify with someone based on their sexual preference or their nationality or their skin color, how many different ones are going to have to be in this movie to cover all the different people groups we can have? It's just a ridiculous concept. Anyways, let's go on with reading this. The Star Wars fan community. Now again, this is not the Star Wars fan community. The Star Wars fan community latched on to the notion of a romantic connection between Finn and Poe almost immediately after the premiere of Star Wars The Force Awakens in 2015, shipping the character with hashtags like Finn Poe and Storm Pilot. Star Wars fans do not care. I actually made a little graph that I used some data that I made up. The blue represents the portion of the Star Wars community that actually cares whether Finn and Poe are together. This little black line represents the portion of the Star Wars community that do care if Finn and Poe are together. So you can see it's a vast majority of fans don't care. And what's interesting about this is the same number of people in the blue that don't care about any of the other SJW nonsense that they want to put in the film. They don't care about identity politics. As a matter of fact, this is also the amount of people in America that don't care about movies having SJW politics in them. They don't care about representation in movies. They think it's a strange concept. This little line right here is the line of people that do care in America. And it's probably even, I gave them a little leeway. I threw some other people in there, the people that really don't know what's going on with anything. I threw them in there too, so they'd have a little bit more representation, just so you can visualize what I'm talking about here. Speaking with Variety at the Rise of Skywalker press junket on Tuesday, however, Isaac expressed regret that the natural chemistry between Poe and Finn in The Force Awakens was not explored in an overtly romantic way in Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and wouldn't be in The Rise of Skywalker. So here's the Star Wars fans they're talking about. Personally, I kind of hoped and wished that maybe that would have been taken further in the other films, but I don't have control, and thank God he does not have control, Isaac said. It seems like a natural progression, but sadly enough, it's a time when people are too afraid. I think of ... I don't know what. People just don't care. People are not going to see Star Wars to figure out what sexual orientation these people are. What about the Wookiees? What are they? They should have Wookiees sniffing shoes in the background or something. I don't get why you're so concerned with people's sexual preferences in a Star Wars movie. Isaac noted that the ambiguity of the characters' relationship might allow more people to see themselves in the characters. Why? Why do people need to why do they have to be cornholing each other for people to be able to relate to them? Can't they just relate to a human being in a struggle? I mean, they're already in outer space. Should we have not even made an outer space film? Because how are people going to relate to a Wookiee or something like that? How are they going to relate to a Yoda? Should those characters not be in movies anymore? But if they would have been boyfriends, that would have been fun. Sounds like he's got something going on for his co-star that he could pursue later. Isaac noted that, though he was less definitive than Isaac, Boyega also noted the lack of a clear romantic connection between Finn and Poe in The Rise of Skywalker while speaking with Variety. They've always had a quiet, loving, and open relationship in which it wouldn't be too weird if it went beyond it, Boyega said, but at the same time, they are just platonic at the moment. Isn't everybody just platonic at the moment unless you're actually sleeping with the person? Even the Rise of Skywalker director J.J. Abrams, famously circumspect about revealing anything about his film in advance, cast some doubt on Finn Poe coming to life in his film. That relationship, to me, is a far deeper one than a romantic one, Abrams told Variety. It is a deep bond that these two have, not just because of the trial by fire in which they met, but also because of the willingness to be as intimate as they are, as unusual as they are, and still be bold, and still be daring and brave. That sounds like a bunch of horse crap. While this would appear to foreclose the possibility of an obvious Finn and Poe romance, Abrams still left the door open to a different form of LGBTQ representation in his film. The filmmaker noted that he's always strived to find a cast for Star Wars that looked more the way the world looks than not. This is a fantasy world. Why does it have to look more like our world? That's the reason people watch it, is they escape into a fantasy. Why would you try to make it look more like our world? It doesn't even make any sense. They should just have the Wookiees gay. You won't even know which one's a boy and which one's a girl. And then you could just say, hey, they're all gay. And in the case of the LGBT community, it was important to me that people who go to see the movie feel that they're being represented in the film, Abrams said. Really, everybody that goes to see the film, you're worried about them being represented? No, you're only worried about LGBTQ because they scream the loudest. Or else you'd have all kinds of weird fetishes going on in this movie. What about people into bondage? I want to see them represented in this film. I want them to have one of them balls in their mouth. And they're just like in the background running out of a room. Well, come on, man. If you're going to represent everybody. Just don't pick certain people, because that's discrimination. So without spoiling the film, Variety asked, does that mean there will be a queer character in The Rise of Skywalker? I will say I'm giving away nothing but what happens in the movie, Abrams replied with a smile. But I did say what I just said. What the hell does that mean? You see people in the background. If you're watching the movie, if you're really into this and you're really there to see who the gay characters are, just make it up. There's plenty of people in the background that they don't say whether they're gay or not. Just in your head go, that guy's gay. And there you go. You don't have to worry about that. You can relate to that guy. Just imagine all the Wookiees are gay and they're all men. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope nobody's devastated too much by this bad news. If you like this video, please leave a comment, give me a like, share it. I'm trying to grow my page, but it's really hard lately because they've been changing the algorithm on YouTube. And now it only kind of supports people like Will Smith and celebrities and corporations, and us little content creators we're not getting any views like we used to. So please, share my video, help me out, and until next time, have a great week.